Simba was born into the animal kingdom to authoritative parents. His father, Mufasa, the Lion King, cared for and disciplined him throughout his childhood. When he was reprimanded, disciplinary actions were accompanied by explanations of his wrongdoing, unlike that of an authoritarian or permissive parent. After growing up and learning from his father, Simba was shown his future responsibilities as king of the animal kingdom. Simba admired his father, so he began to model him during his maturation from cub to lion. Due to Simba's direct succession behind his father, Scar, Mufasa's brother, was now second in line to the throne. As a result, Scar became jealous. He craved the power and attention of a king due to his narcissistic personality and insecure attachment as a child. Both caused Scar to plot to kill his brother in order to reach the throne. As Scar plans to overthrow his brother, he uses the reaction formation defense mechanism to hide his true feelings, and it inadvertently gets closer to Simba and gains his trust. To carry out his plan, Scar obtains the loyalty of 3 hyenas.
I need your help.
Okay. One hyena, named Eddie, was known to be slightly overdramatic. He easily became bored of Scar's orders and loved being the center of attention whenever possible. The kingdom's cognitive behavioral psychologist, Rafiki, diagnosed Eddie with histrionic personality disorder. With the help of the hyenas, Scar was now ready to enact his plan and make his way to the throne. Simba's life was going to be forever changed. Scar approaches Simba and says,
Meet your father in the gorge.
Yes, Uncle.
When Simba arrived, no one is to be found. However, off in the distance, Simba hears a loud rumbling. Many miles away, the hyenas had stirred up the wild beasts and sent them hurtling through the gorge. Simba immediately begins to make a run for it into the gorge, his only route of escape. Scar quickly alerted Mufasa that his son was about to be trampled to death in the herd. When Simba heard his father calling him through the blurry dust and rumbling, he took refuge upon a ledge within the gorge. However, during the search for Simba, Mufasa himself found the stampede to be too dangerous and attempted to jump onto a safe landing above the wildebeest. Mufasa missed a landing and grasped the edge of it for dear life, only to see his brother stand over him and push him down into the gorge. Through the debris, Simba looked for his father, and he finally saw him in a faint clearing of dust seconds before he was swallowed by the stampede. Simba ran to his father after the stampede relinquished and began to weep by his side. As Simba whimpered and cried, he heard his father's voice above him telling him,
Do as I've taught you. You've learned well, son.
Due to the emotional significance of this event, Simba experiences flashbulb memories of it. As time went on, Simba continued to hear voices inside his head that sounded familiarly like his father and saw images of him in the clouds. Worried, Simba went to cognitive behavioral psychologist Rafiki, the same psychologist that diagnosed Eddie, to find out what was wrong. Simba told Rafiki about his delusions, and Rafiki diagnosed him with paranoid schizophrenia. Before Simba left, Rafiki gave Simba Thorazine, a drug used to treat the excess of the neurotransmitter dopamine, commonly found in schizophrenic patients. The news of Simba's diagnosis spread quickly throughout the kingdom. After learning of it, Scar went urgently to speak to Simba. Without hesitation, Scar told Simba that he is not the rightful descendant to the throne, claiming that he killed his own father by running through the gorge and that being king was always a delusion made up inside his head. Simba didn't believe a word and argued back that he did not murder his father and that he would never lie to him. Scar immediately shot back that his schizophrenia was causing delusions of grandeur and that he was never to be king. Simba reluctantly believes him and runs away. In Simba's absence, the kingdom began to fall apart. Scar's lack of care caused the kingdom to starve and the ecosystem to become imbalanced. Knowing that this is not the leadership of a true king, Rafiki decided to take a closer look at Scar's actions. Using the DSM-5 and careful observations, Rafiki diagnosed Scar with antisocial personality disorder. A mere 5 years later, Simba has survived life on his own. However, the lack of Thorazine has caused his delusions to return. Simba began to picture himself as king again. He cried at the remembrance of his father's death, and his delusion told him that Scar was the true murderer of his father, not himself. He began to picture a land that was starved and distraught in his mind and felt it was necessary for a return home. As Simba approached the remnants of the kingdom, Eddie stood guard. After recognizing it was Simba, Eddie began to freak out due to boredom and attention-seeking, so much so that Simba easily slipped by into the kingdom. Scar was quickly briefed on Simba's return and made his way to greet him. After brisk salutations, Simba confronted Scar about the murder of his father. After calling Scar out as the killer, Scar immediately accepted full credit.
Yes, I killed your father, and I feel no remorse.
This shows Scar's lack of emotional intelligence and self-control. Out of nowhere, Scar's gang of hyenas charged Simba, causing his sympathetic nervous system to initiate his fight-or-flight response. Instead of running away, Simba decided to stand tall and defend himself, throwing them off each time they attacked. While the hyenas recovered from multiple charges, Simba's parasympathetic nervous system calmed him and he began to talk some sense into them. For why were the hyenas loyal to Scar when he had starved them for all this time? Why not turn on him and feast on his remains? The hyenas' great hunger, controlled by the lateral hypothalamus, spoke for them as Simba gained their loyalty. Observing the altercation from afar, now sped away from his newly made enemies. Simba ran after him, ready to pounce and end the kingdom's suffering. Very quickly, Simba trapped Scar along the same cliff edge that witnessed his father's death and threw him into the depths of the gorge below. The hyenas then raced to the bottom to dine on their former master's corpse. With the rightful king returned to the throne, the animal kingdom was revived. Hunger was ended and peace between all species returned. Simba now received Thorazine regularly and the animal kingdom lived happily ever after.
Roar! You want me to do it?